Hi, everyone. Today I want to talk about return policies because you need to have a return policy in your shop. And a lot of people don't have shop policies set up. That is just something very basic that Etsy really wants you to do. If you don't have policies in your shop, Etsy's not going to show you as highly in search. So make sure that you have this set up. And some countries have very strict laws about what kind of returns you have to take. I know that the EU has a very liberal return policy for people. So make sure that you're following all of the laws in the location where you are and the countries that you sell to. But we're going to look at two of my Etsy shops because I have different return policies in different shops. And we're going to go into my vintage shop first, where I do not accept returns, and I will tell you why and how that's set up. All right, we're in my vintage shop, and the way that you edit your return policies is you click the edit shop here, and then you're going to have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Right now we're in edit mode. It says you are currently editing your shop. You scroll all the way to the bottom where the return policies are, or this is the policy section, and you have to click edit policies. Okay, so we're going to click edit policies. And you can scroll down a little further. You can say, I do not accept returns. You can turn that off. I accept returns. I do not accept returns. Toggle it on and off. It will give the customer a different message. You do not accept exchanges. Same thing. I don't accept returns or exchanges in my vintage shop because it's vintage. And, you know, people are crazy and they don't read descriptions. They think that something that says vintage 1950s is brand new. So anyway, I just have all that. Now, this is the message. If you have this turned on, it says, don't accept returns or exchanges. Buyers can still file a case with Etsy support to seek a return or exchange in some situations. Then you can click to read more. But basically, it's if you send them something and it's not as you described in the listing, then they can file a case for not as described. And in that case, Etsy can force you to take the return or the exchange if it is definitely not as described. So that's a different situation. But just for most cases, you can set this up this way if that's your policy. But just be aware that there are some cases where if you're sending people stuff that is not what you're describing in your description, then you will probably have to take a return or an exchange. Same thing here. This is what I mentioned before, selling to buyers in the EU. And there are some laws in the EU that will force you to take exchanges or returns. So this, again, is one reason why I don't sell internationally. I don't have to deal with that. Okay, so I do accept cancellations. So you basically just go down and fill all this stuff out. I ship things pretty quickly. So I say within 2 hours. I'm generally not going to ship on the same day, but that's just to make people make up their minds and tell me, yes, you know, contact me quickly. Don't wait for 4 days, because I do send things relatively quickly. Now, this is interesting. Etsy prohibits the use of buyer information for unsolicited messages. I have never seen this before, but I like it. You have to put a privacy policy here, and you can feel free to just copy my privacy policy. I don't care. I don't contact people. I don't use their information for anything. So I collect very limited. I collect only the information for the sale, and I don't keep that, but it is stored on Etsy. So you have to let people know that. So there's that. When you're done, you click publish, and then it will, I'm going to just go back. Okay, now I'm going to say view shop. So basically when you set that up, it all has all the information here. Here's the return policy. Oh, I accept cancellations within 2 hours, but I don't accept returns or exchanges. That's exactly right. Then people can read your privacy policy and that kind of stuff. You can add an FAQ, but I'm not getting into that today. I'm just talking about the exchanges and the return policy. Now, this is very important to have, because if people buy something and then they contact you and say, I want to exchange it. Well, number one, this is a vintage shop, so I can't, because I probably only have one of each thing. But you can say, according to my policies, based on my policies that are in my policy section, I don't accept returns or exchanges. And then you have to deal with them from there. And you can make exceptions. You don't have to stick by this 100%. Just work with people on an individual basis. But this will give you something to lean on. If somebody is demanding an exchange or a return, you can say, I don't accept that. It's in my policies. And if they do bring a case against you with Etsy, whether Etsy decides to side with them or not, you cannot control, but at least you have that here in writing. And so they can't say that you didn't tell them. So let's go over to my other shop. This is my cake shop. This is my main Etsy shop. And I do accept exchanges and returns and that kind of thing. Nobody returns stuff. This is an interesting shop, actually, because the things that I sell, a lot of them are technically edible, but it's not really food. So I could say it's edible, and it's not really perishable. And that's one of the exceptions that Etsy has in their template for things that can't be returned or exchanged. Perishable things, digital downloads, sale items, and custom items. And then there's another one that's like personal hygiene items like soap and underwear, So they're just normal things that you wouldn't be able to take back to the store if you've used them, and nobody's going to take that back. Etsy does have those things in their template, so you can take the things that do apply to your products and put them there. Now, like I said, in my case, I sell the things that I sell are technically edible, but they're not perishable. I rarely have anyone with a problem because I send everything as it's shown. I send it as it's described, and I just work with people one-on-one if they do have a problem with something. But I do have in here that I accept returns, exchanges, and cancellations, and to contact me within 3 days of delivery. I think that's probably the shortest period that they have. Ship items back within 7 days of delivery, and you should be able to choose from the menu of a different, time period if you want to do that. And I say request a cancellation within 1 hour of purchase. And that's because I used to ship things really quickly, but now I do wait a little bit based on Etsy pulling some transactions back. And I did another video about that. I will link to that at the end of this one. I generally don't have people wanting to exchange or return things. I do have people who say, can I cancel the order? And that's fine. If you haven't shipped it, just go ahead and cancel it. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. And the condition of return is important. And you have to say whether you or the buyer is going to pay for the shipping costs. This is very important, especially if you ship things for free. And if you ship things for free, then you have to refund the entire amount, including your original shipping cost. So if that's the case, then you need to have the buyers pay to have it shipped back, and then you'll just refund the whole thing. So you are going to be out a little money. Returns don't happen that often. You can write this off as a business expense. It's just the cost of doing business. So don't worry about it too much if it does happen. It's aggravating, but just don't worry about it too much. But make sure that you have in your policies that buyers are responsible for return shipping costs. And that way, unless there's something wrong with it, if you send somebody something and it's broken when they get it, or it's the wrong color, or whatever the case may be, if it was your problem and your mistake, then you need to pay for them to send that back. They shouldn't be out of pocket for anything. So there's that. And then I have questions about your order. Please contact me if you have any problems. Again, I had the privacy policy here for this shop. But it's really important to have a return exchange policy, because you do have a leg to stand on then if someone says, I want to exchange this, and you can say, well, I don't exchange things, but we can work on it this other way. You have to have something in place legally and for your protection, and to clarify to people, especially if you expect them to pay for the return shipping costs, it's really important to have that in there. Now, again, if you sell internationally, you're going to have to follow the laws of the countries where you're selling to. So just be aware of that and take that into account when you're making your decision about whether you want to sell internationally or not. Because for me, it's not worth trying to keep up with all that kind of stuff. But for a lot of people who sell internationally a lot, it's worth it. So you really have to evaluate that for yourself. But that's basically the return policy. Just make sure that you have one. Watch this video next. I think it'll be up here, and I will talk to you later.